The MMPI-2-RF is different from the MMPI-2 in a number of ways, but probably the most salient of these is the focus of the assessment. With the MMPI-2-RF, we focus on psychological variables or constructs relevant to the assessment of personality and psychopathology. The MMPI-2, of course, follows the tradition of the original MMPI with the clinical scales. And these clinical scales originally were developed to target complex psychiatric syndromes to indicate whether a test taker had one or more of the 8 most commonly occurring disorders that were at the time the focus of assessments at the University of Minnesota Hospital, where Hathaway and McKinley developed the test. The scales didn't work. They didn't really provide that differential diagnosis. This necessitated a paradigm shift towards looking at patterns of scores and cotypes and classifying people into different types based on their pattern of scores on the test, and then learning about the empirical correlates of membership in those cotypes. That research was done back in the 1960s. Since then, we've, in the areas of personality and psychopathology, really shifted. There's been another paradigm shift to looking at psychopathology from a dimensional perspective rather than a categorical one. Not so much whether someone has schizophrenia or does not, but rather what are the primary areas of function or dysfunction that are relevant to diagnosing schizophrenia and characterizing the kinds of difficulties and problems that the test taker is likely to experience and that may require some intervention. So again, we now with the restructured form focus on these psychological variables, these constructs that have been studied extensively in the last couple of decades. We have a comprehensive literature to help guide and link our scales to these constructs. And so I'd say that that really is the primary difference, the focus on modern conceptualizations, current ways of understanding, assessing, and ultimately intervening with psychopathology.